Good morning, YouTube family. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I'm going to be talking about lard. What is lard? Is it healthy for you? We're going to talk about it. I do some research on these products, even though I know a little bit about them. If you are advocating a product, then you need to let people know why. So in order to present something like this, I have to have information to give you. And the simplest terms is what I suggest. Above all, I feel that you need to know what you're buying. You need to know the history of it. When was it made? How did it come about? I'm just going to get to what I've researched, the facts, and why lard should be in your stock pantry and in your kitchen pantry as well. What is lard? A century ago, lard used to be in everyone's pantry and everyone's frying pan. These days, lard is an insult. It didn't just fall out of flavor, it was pushed out. It was a casualty of a battle between giant business and corporation interests. This is just a little history, you guys. Very short, okay? 100 years ago, lard was big money. In 1907, a German chemist showed up at Procter & Gamble's headquarters with a ball of fat. It looked like lard. It cooked like lard, but there was no pig involved. It was hydrogenated cottonseed oil. So other vegetable shortenings was designed in a lab to replace lard. Have you ever cooked bacon and saved the grease from something? Well, then you are familiar with lard. Lard is rendered pork fat. Lard is mostly used for cooking. Lard is primarily a fat source. It has 0 protein and 0 carbohydrates. So despite what you may have heard about fats, this is not necessarily a bad thing. You need fats to live. You may be familiar with the concept good fats, bad fats. When these terms are used, it usually refers to unsaturated fats. In general, unsaturated fats tend to be healthier and can help protect against chronic disease, while saturated fats are associated with higher risk of heart disease. Most fats containing food are not made up of only one type of fat. Most fats are actually a unique blend of unsaturated and saturated fats. I'm going to put up a chart and we're going to kind of go over it real quick. As you can see, lard has less saturated fat than butter, but more than olive oil. This makes it a pretty middle-of-the-road option in terms of fat choices. Lard can be a source of vitamin D, which is usually hard to obtain in food. The push to reduce saturated fats has led to the rise of common substitutes for lard. And that's where vegetable shortening right here comes about. So let me read something to you. The substitute vegetable shortening are often made up of partially hydrated fats, which is a trans fat, which are associated with higher health risk than the saturated fat they were designed to replace, okay? 2 types of lard. You're going to have your fresh lard, which is not shelf stable, okay? You can buy it fresh, or you can make it if you have a pig and you want to render your fat, you can do it that way. Or you have a lard that is shelf stable. So in order to use this shelf stable lard, they have to use hydrogenated fat in order to preserve its freshness and so that it will be able to stay on the shelf for long periods of time. Okay, so bottom line. In some recipes, you have to use, you know, these types of oil. Okay? And then also you would have to, you know, some recipes you have to use coconut oil. I have all kind of oil. This is not all the oil that I have. I have lots of it. But lard can be used in a lot of baking products. I've used lard to bake biscuits before, and they come out totally fine. We should always use oil in moderation. You want to avoid using any type of lard or oil, the shortening, the baking shortening, the frying shortening, any types in moderation. It's not something that you want to do excessively. So let's talk about the shelf life of lard. Lard has to go through a process, and I'm not going to mention the process. You can go research that for yourself. But I will say that I've had lard, unopened lard can stay on the shelf for long periods of time. I'll let you decide that for yourself as well. This lard right here smells perfectly fine. There's no bacteria growth on it. I keep it in a dark cabinet in my kitchen, not my kitchen pantry. I have a separate cabinet for oil. This oil right here has been open for 2 years. It has. Because I have so many oils. This vegetable shortening has been open for a little over a year. There's no smell. It looks fine. And let me show you this one. Look. I'm not saying to keep your oil in your cabinet open for 2 years. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I personally do not worry about it. I use it because I use all kind of oils. I use peanut oil. These two right here are unopened. And I have large ones in my stock pantry. Y'all go get you some lard, get you some olive oil, get you peanut oil, all types of oil, and store it up. Research it. Always do what's best for your family in the situation that you're in. Oil has already been packaged and processed, so there's no other way of preserving it. You can put it in the freezer or the ice box for if you are scared to put it in your cabinet after you open it. If you're scared about the freshness, maybe you don't use a whole lot of it, then you can put it in your refrigerator. You can do that. When I cook bacon and I save the fat from the bacon, I always put that in the ice box. Some people put it on their counters, and that is fine. But unless you strain it, you strain all the bacon bits out of it and all of the, or whatever fat that you're rendering, unless you get all of the food particles out of it, keeping it on your counter, in my personal opinion, it can tend to grow bacteria. So you need to strain it very well if you do that. But I strain it, and if a few particles of food fall in it, I don't too much worry about that if I store it in the ice box. And I don't store it in the ice box for, you know, like years or whatever. I constantly use it. So in closing, always rotate out your products. So thank you for watching this video. I hope I encouraged you to go out and buy you some lard or research it further. And if you're not comfortable with it, just kind of research it. Find out all the facts and the science and everything of it. Do what's best for you and your family, of course. Store it properly. Research the length of time that you want to store it. As always, we love you here at Raphael's Refuge. This lard is like gold to me. I love it. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you will not miss any of our future videos. Bye, y'all.